Why are you paying for an AC system that's struggling to keep you cool? If you hear something funny, smell something burny, your AC is frozen or leaking water, or even feel warm air coming from your AC, it's time to call CNC. CNC Heating and Air Conditioning, your local Lennox dealers, can make it a no-sweat summer for your entire household with one phone call. 0% financing options available. Don't wait until it's too late. Visit cc-hvac.com to request your estimate today.
Talk Radio 1210, WPHT, WPHT HD, WOGL HD3, Philadelphia. Always live on the free Odyssey app. From the Cherry Hill Volvo Studios, where relationships matter. Live and local from Philadelphia. The Dawn Stensland Show on Talk Radio 1210, WPHT.
Live, local, and so much developing this hour. Of course, if the verdict comes down, and they will announce that as the jury gets in place, we're on verdict watch as that jury is in deliberations. Deliberated for a short time yesterday afternoon in this fast-moving trial locally, Wilmington, Delaware. Hunter Biden on trial. I have to say, faces up to 25 years behind bars if convicted. That's the max. I don't expect that he'll actually be sentenced to any jail time. This is a federal case, and this would be his first charge as a federal felon. But what we have to watch here, and I talked earlier on Kale and Company, what we have to watch is the next trial. So Hunter Biden, the big one is out west, and we've talked a lot about that California case in which he is accused by the IRS of lying on his tax forms and lying about how much income he really earned and allegedly hiding millions of dollars of earned income and then trying to write off as business expenses things like pole dancers and hookers and that sort of thing, which unless they've changed the rules, yesterday and to today, I don't think you can write off those things. So you mess with the IRS, you try to hide millions of dollars of income. I mean, that's what Michael Cohen was accused of, remember, who the media never talks about this. But that was the longtime advisor, legal advisor and attorney for Trump, Michael Cohen, who was the so-called star witness in that case. What Cohen actually went to prison for, and you can look this up, was that he was accused of hiding income. And that had to do with a taxi medallion taxi company he owned with a partner. They both went to prison. Okay, so you mess with the IRS, you try to hide them, especially that much money in income, they're going to come after you. That was, the famous Al Capone line, right? And so got to pay your taxes. We could talk about the IRS all day, but that's the bottom line. And so for Hunter Biden, that's the trial to watch. For this one, I agree with so many of you who've said that the only benefit to this current trial with Hunter Biden, as the jury resumes deliberations, Wilmington, Delaware, after only a week on trial, the only real value to me personally is that we saw that laptop acknowledged by federal law enforcement, confirming what the New York Post, Miranda Devine in particular, and I had said at the time, I had retweeted, something that she had put out on social media where she was taking a victory lap, as she and the Post should. But let us not forget that this laptop now entered into evidence, which you don't hear the mainstream media talk about this at all. What else is on that laptop? Don't you want to know what else is on there? What are they hiding? So yeah, the fact that we now know that the laptop is real and the evidence on it is real, it's entered into the court. But if the laptop is entered in as evidence, it should be fair game. We should be able to file Freedom of Information requests. We should. And there have been, many requests made, but when will they actually release the thing? You see, that's the question. After this trial is over, how long will it take? I think it's a safe bet that it will take at least a year, if not more, before, and I don't think all of it will ever be released, all the contents, because what else is on there? And can they use that laptop then in the California case? But you see, if he's convicted here, even if if they say, well, community service, there's no evidence that he ever used the gun. And I talked about it earlier this morning on Kale and Company as far as lying on a federal form. These federal forms that somebody has to fill out, and you have to say, no, I'm a good person. No, I'm not on drugs. No, I'm not. I'm mentally unstable. Really? And that's what we have to do. First of all, I don't really think the federal forms, if they're taken to task, I don't know what good they do. I don't know what good it does except that the FBI can then take anybody to task and accuse you, well, you were drinking a little more than you should have, and you filled out the federal form. And by the way, even though hundreds of thousands, I was looking up the stats earlier, even though hundreds of thousands of people every year are turned down for their gun permit, depending on what state you live in, that still only represents a teeny weeny percent, maybe 1% or less of people who are turned down. So that just tells you, all in all, this Hunter Biden situation, it's very rare. And what it should tell all of us, and I could talk about so many cases where, probably one of the most famous, Martha Stewart. If the feds want to come after you for any reason, they can search your history. They can find a crime like this. So did he check a box and he should not have? Because what? He bragged in a book? This happened in 2018. Why does anyone take this kind of persecution? And I'm not even saying it's political. Is it political? I don't know. But it's really at a federal level. They can point to anybody in any federal form that you may have filled out and say, we want to make you an example. To me, that's what's happening here. This happened, 6 years ago? Really? And nothing happened. It would be different if he, God forbid, shot somebody or went in an armed robbery situation. So we'll wait for the verdict. The jury has resumed deliberations. Everybody has to go back in court. We'll talk about it this morning for sure. But I just wanted to, make sure that if anything breaks, yes, of course, we will absolutely bring forth that information. You can count on it. We have a lot of different breaking news stories, and I just saw this alert as we're here. And I don't know if you care about this case. Every time my husband Larry, when I bring up the, King Charles or anybody, the king, of England, King Charles, but he's now been made aware that with his cancer, time is ticking. And that's from the latest experts. What a sad story for England. But the monarch, 75 years old, as he has been undergoing treatment for cancer and his cancer diagnosis. And so it's a sad story of somebody who, you think about his daughter-in-law with cancer and recovering from that. It's a sad story about cancer. And I just have to wonder, when we think about the pandemic and we think about COVID, did even the royal family, did they put off their cancer screenings? That's what and I'm being serious, I'm not being snarky. Is that something where they put off their cancer screenings? Because we hear this more and more of people who put off important doctor's appointments and put off their screenings. Why? Because of the pandemic. Everything was shut down. And imagine if it impacted a royal family, how it impacts regular people like you and me. I definitely put everything off, for sure. So we have on our staff, Jimmy Kelly, one of our great engineers, is a cancer survivor. I hope he didn't put that off. We carried, one of his COVID vaccines live, actually. We were covering that or in real time that day type thing, because it's so important, especially if you've beat cancer, if you're a survivor, you've got to have those follow-ups. But for so many people who miss the screenings, and we hear about all of these cases being supersized. And that brings me to an issue that I cannot emphasize enough, and that is the damage caused by the strict mandates, not by the push under then President Trump to create a vaccine. That was a miracle. Here's the problem. I'm going to get into this and I want to hear your take, and maybe you're going to disagree with me. 855-839-1210. To me personally, the fact that we had in the pandemic, and we had a period of unprecedented peace and prosperity, pre-pandemic I'm talking about, right? Now the pandemic strikes. Nobody knows what to do. Trump turns to his experts, one of them being Dr. Anthony Fauci. Oh, Dr. Fauci, he was right there. Well, Mr. President, and he was right there to help out. Big mistake. And you saw that turn as Trump first trusted the medical team and then started realizing there's something not right with this. But I'm going to say this. Trump should be able to tout the fact that he did something amazing. He was able, as a businessman, because he's a private sector guy, that's how he thinks. He doesn't think like a bureaucrat. Remember this, that initially Fauci and others said, oh, no, people are going to die. There's no way that we can deal with this. Trump, being somebody from the business private sector, immediately thought we've got to incentivize people. Let's incentivize these companies. Let's do this. Boom. And he did. He incentivized the pharmaceuticals, everybody in a competition, a race for some kind of an answer. And so that's how they so quickly came up with the different, and they were different vaccines. So we know the Johnson & Johnson one that at first everybody put down, and now it looks like that was the smarter one to get. I'll remind you that our own Matt DeSantis, Harvard grad, he was the one who got that one. So he looks like a genius, because then we hear on the other side that some of the other ones maybe weren't as great. But to the credit of the administration, they came up with these vaccines. So I'm Pfizered. I got the Pfizer shot. My husband and I got that immediately because our son, Michael, at the time, 15, turning 16, no family history, really healthy, fit kids. And boom, he's suddenly diagnosed with this autoimmune deadly disease, which is so-called juvenile type 1, T1D diabetes, which we know there was this huge spike. We now know from those spike proteins, which COVID causes, but also now finally the NIH admitting that yes, in some cases, there is evidence that these vaccines themselves may actually spark these autoimmune type diseases. Some of them very serious. Look it up. And so that brings forth the question of risk reward. So I'm going to say this. On one hand, I think it's fantastic that we had a president who's the private sector guy who says, you know what, we've got to incentivize, we've got to do a race to find some answers for this pandemic. So let's think like a business person. He incentivizes them. They come up with this, and they do an emergency approval. So far, I'm on board, okay? Where I'm not on board, and I think we saw then Trump started to back off of this, was when all of a sudden they start saying, no, we need to have mandates. First you don't need a mask, now you need a mask. Now it's emergency approval, now everybody must get the vaccine. You see what I'm saying? So the mandates are where I have the problem. Each and every one of us should have been able to look at the risk reward of that miracle of the vaccine, which is not an immunization. Okay, that's another piece of this. It mitigated the illness. That's what we know, and that's what we knew at the time. So what did they know and when did they know it? That's my question for these individuals. And I'm going to go back to this because I believe that if you are an advisor to the President of the United States, and if you are then not just an advisor to the White House, to the executive branch, to the president, but also you're somebody who the people are trusting, Congress is trusting, and you're the guy or the team in charge, I believe that we deserve transparency. I want to know, Dr. Fauci and team, when did you guys know that, in fact, this did not provide the full immunity? When did you know that the getting that vaccine, the 2 jabs, in fact, did not stop you from spreading it to others or getting it? These are fair questions. And when did you know the serious issues of risk reward, that in fact, the virus itself can trigger these spikes in autoimmune diseases, but as well that that getting vaccinated with these COVID vaccines could also potentially trigger somebody's spike proteins, and that would then trigger some of these. Look up autoimmune diseases. So I think of, on the drastic scale of things, ALS, Lou Gehrig's that's a type of these. Type 1 diabetes, we've seen the spike. When we think of all these different autoimmune diseases, MS, that sort of thing, right? Think of every one of them, and we've seen a spike in the cases. That's what they're investigating here. So is this treason? Is this when we think about a danger to democracy, and they talk about J6, where is the committee? And maybe Liz Cheney, I say sarcastically, should be on this one. Where's the so-called J6 style committee investigating who knew what when? And looking into the fact that you had a medical team, these bureaucrats like Fauci, who've made, highest paid in the government for decades, half a century, for crying out loud, with nobody questioning them, no checks and balances, and he's allowed to skate? I don't think so. We should have a J6 committee, because I want you to think about how many people are impacted. And so if it's true that somebody who was mandated to get a vaccine, and now they have a lifetime of physical damages dealing with this disease that was made possible or potentially triggered because they were mandated to get a vaccine, they or their child, because remember, oh no, you can't come into work. You can't travel. Your child can't go to school, remember? You firefighters, police officers, first responders, medical professionals, no, you're going to get fired from your job. There were many people you and I know. I have friends and family who lost their jobs. Also, how many of us were shamed and canceled and shadow banned? So these individuals need to be held accountable, and we need a committee. Where's that committee? Where are the hearings? Is that not a threat to democracy? And did they not potentially cost more lives, threaten more lives, and damage many more lives than J6? See, they get to choose. They get to choose. And we suffer. And then the media is complicit. This is a great injustice. One more reason why we, the jury, we, the people, we get to vote. And we get to say, November 5th, you're fired. I'm Dawn Stensland, at Dawn Stensland, 855-839-1210. Quick break, great guests coming forward. Be right back.
Join Team Kale and Company once again this year for the Bend to Shore Bike Tour on Sunday, July 21st. From Philly to Atlantic City, you can do the ride or just donate to support the cause. Visit bendtoshore.org. That's shore.org. Let's show everyone how WPHT and Odyssey supports law enforcement. Bend to Shore is organized by Families Behind the Badge Children's Foundation. SBBCF provides financial relief for the families of fallen and injured first responders, and supports the Police Youth Alliance, which fosters a positive relationship between police and youth. Sponsored by Gelman Law. Need a criminal defense attorney or personal injury? Visit gelmanlawfirm.com.
Hey, Philly. In the city of brotherly love, the only thing we love more than our teams is great savings. And with unlimited welcome from Verizon, you can save big, even if you're on a single line. For a limited time, single lines start at just $50 a month when you bring your own phone. With AutoPay plus taxes and fees, that's a savings of $15 a month. And when you switch now, you can save on the things you love, like Netflix and Max, all on the most awarded 5G network. Now that's a real win. There's never been a better time to switch to the network America relies on. But this offer won't last long. Visit your local Verizon store to switch and save big today. $180 BYOD promo credit and $360 local promo credit applied over 36 months. For new customers with one new line with your own 4G, 5G phone on unlimited welcome plan required. Additional terms apply. Auto pay and paper-free billing required. In times of congestion, unlimited 5G and 4G LTE may be temporarily slower than other traffic. Domestic data roaming at 2G speeds. $10 a month for each MyPlan perk. Additional terms and conditions apply per perk.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-688-6641. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-688-6641. That's 800-688-6641. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
The forecast for hot summer weather should come as no surprise. And the forecast for high energy costs shouldn't either. PJ Fitzpatrick has a great plan to cool your electric bill. Replace your leaky old windows with energy efficient and budget friendly insulated windows. The PJ Fitzpatrick team, voted best of Philly, has replaced hundreds of thousands of windows. And they've earned thousands of 5-star reviews. Call today and save thousands on your windows and electric bill. Visit trustpj.com today for a free window consultation.
Did you know you can stream Fox News Radio on the free Odyssey app? Just download the free Odyssey app and search for Fox News Radio to hear the voices you trust. Brian Kilmeade.
Why are we so scared of Iran thinking that we're at war with them?
Guy Benson.
Get the bleep out of here. It's disgusting.
Jimmy Fallon.
Then this administration rolled into town with a checkbook.
Are all on the free Odyssey app. From the news and talk to keep you informed and up to date during election season. Listen to Fox News Radio on the free Odyssey app. That's AUDACY. Hey, Clementon. Yeah! We know your favorite station is Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. WPHT.
So the NIH acknowledging what we feared as we're talking about the pandemic and COVID. And it would appear that they either you believe that they're incredibly stupid and incompetent, or that they knew a whole lot and lied to us for other reasons. And so either any way that I look at this, I don't find a positive, and I'm not talking about right when everything broke. I'm not talking about that. Remember, just a couple weeks, 2 weeks to slow the spread. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the school years impacted as the school years went on, and these ridiculous mandates like we suffered under here in Pennsylvania, and in particular in Philadelphia, among the toughest mandates and shutdowns in the nation. Remember all that crazy stuff? And I remember Zioli saying the restaurants that to open, you had to have not our Jimmy Kelly, but like, you got to get pay Jimmy to come and check, your air circulation before you can reopen. Remember that whole thing? And show your card to make sure that you were vaccinated and all of that crud. I mean, it got ridiculous. And so either they knew, which they did at some point, they knew, but they wanted to control us, and they wanted to politicize it, and it's really obvious to us, right? 855-839-1210. Isabel in South Jersey. Hi, Isabel.
Hi, Dawn. I'm so happy to speak with you.
Thank you.
I have to say I've tuned in a little bit late today to your program. When I tuned in, I got the tail end of a report that you were giving or a statement you were making about the vaccine, and I know at the end I heard you say you were talking about autoimmune diseases, and it was MS in particular. Could you tell me a little bit about what that report was? Because I'm very interested.
The report is, well, there are multiple reports and studies. And so I believe yesterday I reported on at least the latest new study that was talking about this, as to say what's going on here with all of these, the spike, if you will, of, and in some cases, skyrocketing of these autoimmune diseases. And this is post-pandemic. And so the NIH has now acknowledged that, in fact, we see a spike, and this is worldwide, a significant rise in these types of autoimmune diseases. So think of rheumatoid arthritis. That's an autoimmune. All of these type 1 diabetes, not type 2, but type 1, which is juvenile diabetes, which is type 1 juvenile diabetes, formerly known as, is deadly if you don't have enough insulin. You're dead within 6 months to maybe 2 years, maybe 5 years, but it's a death sentence unless you have the insulin. And even if you have the insulin, unless you monitor that very carefully, unless you have the glucose monitoring, unless you have the continuous monitoring, your lifespan is expected to be at least a decade shorter.
Right.
Okay. So some of these ALS, and I'm mentioning the worst, right? ALS is probably one of the worst autoimmune diseases, but the more common ones, like you're saying, and there's a long list. And all of a sudden, we're seeing them. People with no family history, and you're thinking, what's going on here?
Okay, let me give you a little history about the reason I'm calling, because it's specific to a vaccine and it's specific to MS. I was given the hepatitis B vaccine when it first came out, and I was a healthcare worker, and after some time went by, I heard two reports. One may have been on the radio, the other on TV, but they were two reported things. And they both said that since the hepatitis shot, they had seen an unusually large amount of an increase in MS among healthcare workers. And I called the CDC at the time because I was frantic. I mean, I had MS, I had the hepatitis shot, and they denied it. They said, no, that's not true. And, of course, I believed them. I'm talking to the CDC, and this was like 20-some years ago. And I always just put it aside like, no, that didn't happen. That it was two false reports that were put out there. But ever since COVID and all of the things that have been coming out about the shot, this shot, it got me back to thinking, no, mine probably is related to the hepatitis shot.
And see, I don't know that, Isabel. I can only tell you that in this, but you should report. You're good to report it and to make an accurate record of it. You want to always write to them, because if it's a government agency and you email them repeatedly and you write to them and you write to all these different agencies, it's very important. And I've had medical professionals tell me this as well, because as a government agent, same with a media outlet, right? Because we have a license, a federal license, FCC. So we are required, if you write a letter and you say, that Dawn, she's misreported, you're giving disinformation, and you write that, then there's a record of it. And they have to keep those records, and they have to name those records in studies. So that's very important. What I'm referring to in this case, the NIH acknowledging, and all of these studies acknowledging, that in particular the mRNA vaccines. So I presume not the J&J, but I'm not sure. But they're talking specifically about the mRNA vaccines and the spike protein. That in some people, they say yes, this could help trigger these autoimmune illnesses that we've seen a spike in. Among them, type 1 diabetes, but also psoriasis, MS, which is multiple sclerosis, different thyroid diseases.
That's what I have, but I believe mine did come from the hepatitis vaccine. I didn't get this COVID vaccine at all. There was no way I was getting that, and I didn't. But now that they're coming, as soon as they started coming out with more evidence or research into what other things were now being caused by having gotten the COVID vaccine.
Isabel, I appreciate your call so much. I'm up against a tough break, but I appreciate your call, and I hope you're well, and I hope we can get to the bottom of this. And I'm being genuine. That's when I say, where's the committee, long form, looking into this? The pandemic committee or the Fauci committee, whatever you want to call it. And you look up autoimmune disease, look up the cause of autoimmune diseases. These are, some of them serious, but more common than ever. And they say, well, we don't know the exact cause. Infections, environmental exposures, microorganisms like bacteria or viruses can help trigger them, and they confuse the immune system. But we have officials now speaking out about this and saying, or it could be that when you have these spike proteins in something like a mandatory vaccine, could that trigger? Yes, it could be a trigger. This is important information. We need the transparency. I have a great guest ahead, so I'm up against a tough break for sure. Quick break, 855-839-1210. Be right back.
Life can get hectic. Wouldn't you love to retreat from the noise? Take a breath. Visit Malvern Retreat House, the nation's oldest and largest Catholic retreat house, located on a stunning campus in Chester County. Surround yourself in God's beauty while you step back, reflect, and recharge. Malvern Retreat House hosts men and women's retreats, plus couples retreats, spiritual direction, recovery retreats, and more. For retreat information and schedules, go to malvernretreat.com. Retreat from the noise. Hear God's voice.
Hi, it's Rich Zioli. I'm joined here today by my friend, the co-president and CEO of Cooper University Healthcare, the one and only Dr. Anthony Mazzarelli. Dr. Maz and I are here to tell you about our buddy, Dr. Mike Venaria. Not only is he my dentist, he's my family's dentist as well. And not sure if you knew this, he's Dr. Maz's dentist too.
That's right, Rich. Dr. Mike Venaria is and has been my dentist also. And doctors choosing doctors, that can be quite a selective process. And not only do I go to him, but for years, my sister and my niece and my nephew, the whole family goes.
Well, it's no secret. We're all delighted by the care that Dr. Mike Venaria and his award-winning team provide, and you need to check him out.
Whether you're looking for pediatric, general, cosmetic, implant dentistry, you don't need to look any further. Dr. Venaria's office does everything. Dr. Venaria's office also exceeds all CDC guidelines and has always maintained the strictest infection control, like their centralized UV sterilization of airflow, which is incredibly important to me.
Locations are right over the bridge in Cinnaminson and Woodbury. Your perfect smile's waiting. Call 856-786-2020 or visit venariadental.com.
Contact Tax Relief Helpers for details and restrictions.
Attention, anyone that owes money to the IRS. The IRS has restarted aggressive enforcement actions against taxpayers who owe back taxes that were temporarily suspended for COVID. If you owe $10,000 or more, you must hear this because now is the time to clear your IRS tax debt. A special toll-free number has been established so you can stop penalty fees, avoid liens, levies, or other hostile measures by the IRS. Call Tax Relief Helpers right now at 800-721-4643. Tax Relief Helpers will provide you the maximum protection afforded by law.
I got behind on my taxes and owed $48,000. I didn't know what to do. I called and they got my bill lowered to just $3,500.
I owed $87,000 in taxes and it was scary. I got the amount I owed down to just $3,500. I saved $83,500.
If you owe money to the IRS, don't wait another day. Call 800-721-4643 right now before the IRS enforces liens, levies, or other aggressive measures. The call and consult are absolutely free. Call now. Call 800-721-4643. 800-721-4643. 800-721-4643.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6481. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6481. That's 800-575-6481. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Have you subscribed to our YouTube channel yet? Do it today at 1210 WPHT.
The COVID truths. I'm calling for a COVID committee. And this after the former CDC chief, Dr. Robert Redfield, has said that we should declassify the COVID documents. Are you for that? I am 100%. Declassify the COVID documents. We paid for it. We the people. A call for transparency. Let's see all of it. Let's find out what's really going on. Your calls, 855-839-1210, as we learn new details about COVID and the COVID truths and the COVID lies and how we all suffered. 855-839-1210. Denise is in Bucks County. Hey, Denise.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. Thanks for calling.
After my first COVID shot, 2 weeks after it, I started noticing a little tiny, sort of lesion type thing. It was, in my hair. So when I went to my primary about 2 weeks later, he said, "Oh, that's alopecia areata. I want you to go to a dermatologist. They can give you corticosteroid shots and it'll make the hair grow back." So I went to the dermatologist, and it turns out it's not that. They did a biopsy, and it is permanent hair loss. I forget the exact initials of it, but it's basically scarring alopecia. Oh. So he told me that your immune system is attacking your hair follicles. And I said, well, oddly enough, it was like 2 weeks after taking an mRNA vaccine. And he goes, well, it could be that, but I can't really say. And I continued on for 2.5 years getting shots in my head, but it's just continued and continued to progress. The interesting part of the story is sometimes I'd be in the dermatologist's waiting room, and there were 3 other people with the same problem.
Really? And
all
so
of us questioning each other about when did you get the vaccine, which vaccine, Pfizer, which did you have? And oddly enough, here goes to your lies that the dermatologist would never confirm it. They did all kinds of immune system testing. I don't have lupus. I don't have, on and on and on. It can only be attributed to that, but they would never commit to it because they were afraid of the medical community and the shame they would get.
Sure. So keep those reports. See, I think this is, if you want to talk about damages and think about if this is all true and you have this former CDC director, talking about this and speaking out about it and calling for the classified State Department documents and all the classified documents relating to COVID, and he's saying release them. I trust him. Why would he make this up, right? And if he's a liar, it will be revealed when they declassify. But that's why I'm saying, where's the COVID committee, and why aren't they on TV? Not with a Hollywood producer like the J6 committee, but I'm really serious. If you think about how many, potentially hundreds of millions of people were impacted by these policies and all of this, my God, I can't think of anything that impacted us more.
And Dawn, it's things as innocuous as, you're losing your hair, not just MS and all these other autoimmune diseases. But I'm convinced and positive that this set off this whole chain of events. I'm 3 years away from it now, and I have big blank spots all over my head. Now I have really thick hair, and unless I show you, you can't see, but they're getting bigger. And the thing that it just irritates me is I've totally lost trust in the public health community and for most of government, for that matter.
Well, I hope that you find an answer as far as I know that nowadays they've perfected, the hair transplant situation. So, but it should be covered. I mean, if they mandated this and you trust it and this is the truth and you didn't have all the information, should that be covered or something? But I thank you for the information, and I always say document this, write all of this information down, make sure that you send your complaint to the CDC, all these different agencies, because we know that this will be investigated at some point, but it should be sooner rather than later. And I think that Dr. Redfield, good for him that he is speaking out about this and calling for transparency. And I'm sure that they don't like that. And it's another reason they feel threatened in the deep state, the bureaucrats trying to hide under Biden and this administration. 855-839-1210 is the number to call. Is this Bill in South Jersey? Hey, Bill.
Quick question, and just checking your memory. With the bird flu now, I swear it was a couple of weeks ago, they called it a COVID variant. It's about the same time before the election. Is this COVID lockdown part 2 coming?
And Bill, I had actually heard that. I had talked to a lot of people saying the same thing, because avian bird flu has been around for decades. I actually have a friend like 20 years ago, more than 20 years ago, her father, and her dad he died because it had progressed. But that was the cause of death. They had said it was a avian bird flu, and they never knew what happened, if he didn't wash his hands or if, I don't know, he was outdoors. And, we never knew how he got it. But yeah, it's another question with all of this. How does the government operate? And my whole statement on this is that if these deep state, these bureaucrats, and we call it the swamp, that's what in general conversation, but if they know, if the Faucis of the nation know that at the end of the day, they will be held accountable in a bipartisan way, and the answers will come forth, then it makes them know that they will have to answer to us. They work for us, not one partisan administration or the other. And so there's no hiding. That's how I see it. Bill, thank you for the call. I want to get to Ted in Swarthmore. Hey, Ted, good morning.
Good morning, Dawn. Nice to talk to you again. Hey, I just want to remind everybody, when we were told to take these shots, there was no accountability on their end for anything that goes wrong. They wrote it in there. So, yeah. I mean, I understand and I am one that did not, and I refuse to get the shot because of all three of them, the way they were made and what they were made of and what they were tested on. And Herman Geering said it a long time ago. Go back and look at history. We want to go back. Anytime you want to control people, you scare them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You scare them. That's how he equated what Germany did during Germany. That all he had to do, it had nothing to do with Nazism. It had everything to do with fear. And that's all you have to do.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was upset at the time when they were saying there was no accountability or liability. I said, I'm not doing it. I'm not taking it. I'm going to look into it. And I didn't. I refused it. Did I get the flu? Yes. Did I recover from it? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And they knew all that in the beginning, too. It was only about control.
And that's just it. And I saw a headline that we look at former Governor Cuomo. He's now facing questions about the nursing home scandal. And that should be the case here in Pennsylvania. Dr. Rachel Levine, formerly Dr. Richard Levine, who now works under the Biden administration, all of these individuals should be investigated, because what did they know? When did they know it, as far as this goes? To order people who have COVID into nursing homes where you have the
I
most
agree.
vulnerable populations. Oh my goodness. I mean, that was a death sentence for people in nursing homes. And then the worst, it was sick that we couldn't even visit grandparents.
Yep. It was terrible what they did to us. And people need to, I agree with you. We need to say we want accountability, but they're never going to be held accountable.
Yeah.
I mean, we can get answers, and the answers are only going to be for us to satisfy our questioning. But I just want to remind people, in the future, they did it. They'll do it again.
Yes. Ted, thank you.
Leopards can't change their spots. Okay?
Yep.
Just remember that.
Amen. Ted, thank you so much. I appreciate you. We're going to take a quick break. You'll hear from Dr. Redfield right around the corner, and take your calls, 855-839-1210. I got to talk about my kitchen and kitchen magic. If you're tired of your old kitchen or that outdated bathroom, you need to give my friends at Kitchen Magic a call. You know, they offer no shortage of solutions for any room in your home. And with a new vanity and a tub shower conversion, you're going to love that new bathroom. Plus, Kitchen Magic offers an industry-leading warranty. They are a 10-year recipient of the Lehigh Valley's top workplaces. Right now, Kitchen Magic offering 12 months, no payments, no interest financing, plus 10% off your remodel. So get your free in-home consultation today. KitchenMagic.com. KitchenMagic.com. Tell them Dawn sent you.
Kale and Company, weekday mornings, 6 till 10.
Is there anybody out there that would be worse than Elvis for you?
If there's anybody out there who wants to torture me.
Springsteen.
Oh, my God. Can you imagine a week of Springsteen
Let's
music?
do Bruce. Does Madonna trigger you?
Yeah, I don't like her either.
Okay. Do you want to put together a list of the artists that trigger you the most? We'll just keep rattling off things for charity. Just create the list of everything you hate in the world.
Bruce would do it. John Mellencamp.
Okay.
He's another one.
It's all for a great cause.
Start your day with Kale and Company, weekday mornings 6 till 10 on Talk Radio 1210, WPHT, and the free Odyssey app.
Crash-proof consumer Joe Doherty of Maple Shade, New Jersey, has true security in retirement.
The main foundation of Crash Proof is that you maintain your capital investment. It's not prone to the vagaries of the market. You know that whether we have 2 crashes, 6 crashes, no matter how long you live, you know that your principal is safe and guaranteed. Anyone that has any doubts about whether their investments are going to fall or dip down in the troughs and the crashes and all the other vagaries of the market, I just recommend highly Crash Proof Retirement. Protect your capital, protect your investment.
Only Crash-proof retirement can guarantee peace of mind in a legally binding, recorded financial meeting. Schedule an appointment or register for the next Crash-proof retirement educational event at Downingtown Country Club on Tuesday, July 23rd. The event is followed by complimentary dinner. 800-722-9728 or crashproofretirement.com.
Hi, this is Dom Giordano. I've told you over the years about Dr. Bentz and all the infrastructure he has there, but one thing that he does that you don't see in too many dental offices, with Dr. Bentz, my dentist, whether it's a routine visit or a comprehensive, multifaceted process, he and his team sit down with you, they create a clear plan, explain it step by step. You will see the Bentz difference with that. Contact BentzDentalGroup.com or call 610-272-6949.
Every business faces challenges, but complicated, expensive, and uncertain shipping shouldn't be one of them.
With USPS Ground Advantage from the United States Postal Service, you can avoid all the noise.
No more unexpected surcharges, hidden fees, or complex rate structures.
It's just easy, cost-effective, and dependable shipping. Tune your business's frequency to success and turn shipping to your advantage. Learn how at USPS.com/advantage. USPS Ground Advantage. Simple, affordable, reliable.
Are you tired of high cable TV rates? Sign up for Dish today and get a $500 bonus offer while supplies last. Plus, lock in your price for 2 years guaranteed. Call All-American Dish, your Dish authorized retailer now.
800-296-1251. 800-296-1251. That's 800-296-1251. Offers require credit qualification, 24-month commitment, early termination fee, and e-auto pay. Restrictions apply. Call for details.
For some jobs around the house, it's okay to do it yourself. For others, not so much. Like your water heater. Replacing a water heater should only be done by a plumbing professional who can provide a safe installation for you and your family. for a long-lasting, reliable water heater, ask your pro about Bradford White. How you heat your water matters, and Bradford White water heaters are built to be the best for years of dependable service. To learn more and find an installation pro near you, visit bradfordwhite.com.
The impact of a meal goes well beyond feeding our bodies, because when people don't have to worry about where their next meal is coming from, they can truly thrive, like Marta.
And now we'll hear from our class valedictorian, who with our hard work never ceases to amaze us. Please welcome Marta Moreno.
And Alex.
Hey, Alex, how did the interview go?
I did it! I got the job! I can't believe it!
I knew it. Let's meet up later to celebrate.
And Diego.
Mom! I got first place at the science fair with my volcano project.
That's amazing, sweetie. Congratulations.
Because when people are fed, futures are nourished, and everyone deserves to live a full life. Join the movement to end hunger at feedingamerica.org/actnow. feedingamerica.org/actnow. A public service announcement brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Yo, Roy is Ford. We know your favorite station is 1210 WPHT.
Calls for public hearings into COVID, the pandemic era, and the declassification of those COVID documents. That's what we're talking about. Hi, Dawn Stensland here, at Dawn Stensland. But this is the former CDC director, Dr. Robert Redfield, calling on the Biden administration now to declassify the COVID documents. And Dr. Redfield, you may recall, consistently said that the COVID virus originated from a lab in Wuhan, China. And so Dr. Redfield now saying there's also a danger of a possible, next leak from one of those labs researching how to intentionally modify viruses to be more dangerous to humans. Obviously, the reason labs do this in the first place is an effort to study ways to prevent future pandemics. The problem is sometimes they create the very thing they fear. Isn't that Jurassic Park, right? The guy, and he has the bottle and drops it in the creek, the Jeep crashes, etc. I mean, it's not funny, but we see this in movies all the time. 855-839-1210. And I know there's a House committee looking into this. I believe I mentioned it back in March, but you don't hear much of it in the headlines. I think this should be public, much like they did with J6. 855-839-1210. Let's get to, is this Mark in South Jersey? Hey, Mark.
Hey, Dawn. You hear me?
Yep.
How are you?
Hi, Mark. Thanks for calling.
No worries. Listen, okay, so the COVID comes around. My wife makes me the appointment to get my first shot, and I got real reservations about this. So the day comes, I tell her, I'm not doing this. I don't feel good about it. Well, I go, rah, 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 rah. You have to do it. I made the appointment, or you got to call them with us. So I submit, and I go get it. So I got my first Pfizer. About a month later, I got my right foot. I got 3 little dots on my right foot. I'm thinking, what is this, ringworm or what? Get bigger and bigger here. I wind up, I got a big gray patch of full-blown psoriasis.
Autoimmune disease.
Psoriasis comes with psoriatic arthritis. They come hand in hand. Okay, so now I'm a victim of it. And for one thing, I should have learned I should have trusted my instincts, because I smelled a rat, and because the wife wanted me to do it, I did it. I didn't get any more. I only got the first shot. But now, I went to a rheumatologist, and the medicines to correct that or help you with that, they've almost killed me. Got pneumonia at least once from it. So I'm stuck toughing this thing out, and it's not easy, and it comes in flares. Where it left me alone a few months back. It left me alone for about 2 months. I was feeling good. Next thing you know, it's back. Horrible.
So sorry.
My knees, my lower back, and then this lethargy that takes over. I'm an active guy, and when this thing kicks in, I don't want to do a thing. You just don't have any energy. I'm thinking I'm just going to watch. I'm going to get my records together, and there should be a class action lawsuit.
Yeah.
And they should be made to pay. As far as I'm concerned, they owe me $1 million.
Well, Mark, first, I'm so sorry that you're going through this. Make sure you get plenty of vitamin D, right? And that's very important for you. And thank you for sharing that. And here's the question we just don't have the answers to. And that's why I do appreciate Dr. Redfield coming out and saying we need the transparency. In no way do I want to say that I'm a medical professional. I am not. I am not a doctor. Okay, but Dr. Redfield is. He's saying that there are documents that would talk a lot about COVID, that we deserve to have the transparency. We now have the NIH acknowledging this issue of autoimmune diseases could potentially be triggered. And so, well, what's up with that? And by the way, the real problem as we move forward, and I want to play the Dr. Redfield audio here real quick here, but as we move forward, it's important to recognize the difference between something like a flu shot or a COVID shot. That's very different from the immunizations that stop different, like chicken pox, you know what I'm saying, that stop polio, that halt those horrifying diseases. And we need to differentiate that. So I'm not being, I'm not anti-vax, nor do I think you are. I'm just pro-transparency on these types of shots that mitigate an illness, but in no way should they be listed as or compared to something like a critical polio vaccine. You see what I'm saying? Or immunization. We should call one an immunization and then call these other ones something else. Can we hear Redfield really quick here? Here he is.
I mean, I was upset with CDC when I left because they stopped tracking people that were infected that were previously vaccinated. So if you didn't track it, well, because then you couldn't report that there were people vaccinated that got infected.
But no, why did they stop tracking it?
But I think there was a decision not to do anything that made the vaccine sound like it didn't work. You know, I've always tried to be honest that I think there was some major mistakes in the vaccines. They should have never been mandated. I also felt that people should have been more honest about the fact that there were side effects to those vaccines, and some people were actually harmed. The other thing, I thought there should be, more honesty about the fact that the vaccines don't protect against infection. I remember Biden saying, this is an epidemic of the unvaccinated. When I was Hogan's chief public health advisor in Maryland after I left CDC, I was saying, wait a minute, 2/3 of the people that I'm seeing infected in Maryland have been vaccinated. I mean, the president of the United States.
So that's Dr. Redfield speaking out. It's a Chris Cuomo COVID Truths podcast or show that he's doing, which kudos to him. I know others have interviewed him about this. He also advocates for the origins of COVID-19, to understand them, to investigate all of this and be transparent, because it's obviously critical for the future of scientific research. It's so refreshing to hear him speak about this. And it's ironic to me that the government thinks, oh, no, don't talk about this because we want everybody to get vaccinated. In fact, that kind of thinking has had the opposite effect. In other words, if we have the transparency and we have these committees and we declassify everything, it will restore our faith in government and doctors who work for the government. What they're doing now to suppress and oppress this information is having the opposite effect, because now we're all wondering, oh my goodness. So we'll continue the conversation. 855-839-1210. Other breaking news as the jury deliberates. Those deliberations continuing in Wilmington, Delaware. Hunter Biden, we have an update there and locally. Be right back.
I'm a dad, as you know, and I know what my dad wants for Father's Day, so I'm the expert when it comes to this. Hey, it's Rich Zioli. Here's how you make Dad very, very happy this Father's Day. Omaha Steaks. Packages starting at just $89 when you go to omahasteaks.com and use my promo code ZIOLI at checkout. ZEOLI. Father's Day's almost here. You got to get cracking on this, all right? You can pick from premium proteins like juicy pork chops, air-chilled chicken, beefy burgers, and obviously the best steaks out there. Endless flavor, endless variety, and endless value. omahasteaks.com. Promo code ZIOLI at checkout. That's how you get the packages starting at $89. And you don't want to wait on this. And trust me, Dad does not want anything else but this amazing food because he can have the family around the grill. We love to grill, makes us feel like a guy, manly, you know what I mean? So do it today. Just go to omahasteaks.com. Packages starting at $89 when you go to omahasteaks.com and use my promo code Zioli at checkout, omahasteaks.com.
Fargo, the new virtual assistant from Wells Fargo, makes banking faster and easier. Like this.
Fargo, what's my checking account routing number?
And this.
Fargo, turn off my debit card.
And this.
Fargo, what did I spend on groceries last month?
And that's just the beginning. Do you, Fargo? You can in the Wells Fargo mobile app. Learn more at wellsfargo.com/getfargo.
Terms and conditions apply. Your mobile carrier's availability and message and data rates may apply. Wells Fargo Bank, N.A., member FDIC.
At some point today, everybody will use a bathroom. But if you're a contractor, there's an excellent reason why right now you could use a lot of bathrooms. It's the Great Bathroom Break at Colonial Marble and Granite, where every vanity you buy comes with a free stone countertop and free sink. Classic, traditional, contemporary, in stock for pickup or ready to ship. Choose a color and style, get a surface and sink, and you're good to go. So get going. Colonial Marble and Granite, the cornerstone of a beautiful home. Restrictions apply. Visit colonialmarble.net for details on their vanity special.
At Cherry Hill Volvo, we have absolutely incredible offers and a plethora of both new and certified Volvos from which to choose. We are eager to offer amazingly competitive prices, plus an additional $1,000 Costco discount on all new Cherry Hill Volvos. When leasing or purchasing a new or certified Cherry Hill Volvo, you become a valued part of our team. Join Cherry Hill Volvo for the pricing and attention you deserve. I am Judith Krupnick, president of Cherry Hill Volvo.
Two legends, one can. Jack and Coke, the #1 cocktail in the world, is now available in a can. Jack Daniel's Tennessee Whiskey mixed with Coca-Cola or Coca-Cola Zero Sugar are available in a can. Is there any better time than summer grilling season for a cold Jack and Coke? Jack and Coke in a can. Born for the backyard. Available at your local PA Fine Wine and Good Spirits store. Go to finewineandgoodspirits.com. Please drink responsibly.
Whiskey Specialty, 7% ABV. Jack Daniel Distillery, Lynchburg, Tennessee. Jack Daniels and Old No. 7 are registered trademarks of Jack Daniels Properties, Inc. Coca-Cola is a trademark of the Coca-Cola Company.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-403-5569 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-403-5569. That's 800-403-5569. What do you have to lose? Call 800-403-5569. Again, 800-403-5569.
Talk Radio 1210, WPHT, WPHT HD, WOGL HD3, Philadelphia. Always live on the free Odyssey app. From the Cherry Hill Volvo Studios, where relationships matter. Live and local from Philadelphia. The Dawn Stensland Show on Talk Radio 1210, WPHT.
On this June the 11th, a beautiful, sunny, bright, summer-like day, 1 month from today, on July 11th, history will be made in the United States of America. Because for the first time in our nation's history, a former president of the United States, Commander-in-Chief, is scheduled to be sentenced in the state case, New York State case. And that's right before he is supposed to receive, obviously, the Republican nod for president in the upcoming November 5th general election. Just take that in for a moment, as the media is complicit with the Democrats' weaponization of government. I'm talking about mainstream media. But just take that all in. We've never seen this type of situation in our nation. As they're taking Trump, he has to go to court. I told you yesterday morning he had to have a Zoom call with the probation authorities from New York. So he's in Mar-a-Lago and then going back and forth on a mandated Zoom call. His attorneys, very busy filing all of the appeals and everything they have to go through. This is all about the November 5th election. Make no mistake. This is the weaponization of our government. It is wrong. And I've consistently said that. When I look at the Hunter Biden case happening right now, a jury is deliberating right now the fate of one Hunter Biden on this accusation and felony charges. This is a federal felony court, unlike Trump, and that was a state case. But for the Wilmington, Delaware case of Hunter Biden, we've never seen that either. The son of a sitting president who's, they're putting his feet to the fire for a gun column where he's trying to buy a handgun, presumably for self-protection. He never used the thing, but he's trying to buy a handgun on the form, and it's a long form, many, many pages. And he's filling out the form and he checks a box that says, no, I'm not currently on drugs or addicted. And that's the basis for this whole trial and this circus happening. So I'm very consistent in this. It's ridiculous. All of it. And by the way, I'm a Second Amendment person. I'm pro Second Amendment. I don't think anywhere in the Constitution, if there's a constitutional argument to be made, I don't see that it's fair or does any good to fill this form out. The only good it does, the more forms you fill out, the more government forms you fill out, the more opportunities for the federal government 6 years later to go, oh, well, you checked this box if they want to come after you. Persecution, not prosecution. So I'm very consistent on this. But that's July 11th. That's what's upcoming for Donald J. Trump. I don't know how he does it. I really don't. And we had that great Dr. Phil interview that we carried in which Dr. Phil asked him the same question. But now this is New Jersey, and nobody does the weaponization of government better than New Jersey. As now this is Phil Murphy's top dog, his attorney general, Matt. Remember Matt? I'll talk about him in a moment. But New Jersey's attorney general, handpicked by Governor Phil Murphy. And now what they're doing is they're looking into, and they released this statement, so now it's making the media rounds. They're looking into whether or not convicted felon Donald Trump is allowed to have a liquor license for his, golf clubs. Yeah, that's New Jersey for you. Isn't that lovely? So this is a spokesperson for the AG's office, and this comes right from the mouth of Governor Phil Murphy. It's trickle-down persecution. That's what this is. Trickle-down weaponization of government. All right. So they're reviewing whether or not the 34 counts of guilty by that Manhattan jury involving the bookkeeping error, all right, alleged falsifying business records. I refuse to call it a hush money situation. It has nothing to do with hush money. It has to do with the bookkeeping. And it has nothing to do with the election, even though that's what they tried to claim, because the election then would have to be in a federal court and they couldn't try it in a state court. I digress. But they're saying that if you're a convicted felon, then you are not allowed in the state of New Jersey to hold a liquor license. Now, obviously, this is the Trump business, but they're trying to bust his chops and make him, hire more attorneys, go to court, drag him to court, persecution, weaponization of government. That's what this is. State law in New Jersey prohibits anyone from holding a liquor license who has been convicted of a crime involving, quote, involving moral turpitude. Well, you know what? You better watch out. You better beware of karma. Because I think that somebody who, first of all, persecutes and uses the weaponization of government, I would say they're involved in moral turpitude. I would say that somebody who forces sick people with COVID into a nursing home, which leads to the deaths of at least 9,000 people, I think that involves moral turpitude. I think they ought to put those individuals on trial. But this is the New Jersey Division of Alcoholic Beverage Control, which is part of the Attorney General's office. They are now reviewing the impact of former President Trump's conviction on the above referenced licenses, and they declined further comment at this time. So they emailed this out, and they put this out to yesterday in an email, and say that part of what goes into that calculation is a requirement that, quote, a person must have a reputable character and would be expected to operate the licensed business in a reputable manner. So this is what they put out. This is the filth that they waste their time putting out. And this is Governor Phil Murphy weaponizing government. Thank you very much. At a time where they shut down businesses and forced mom and pops to suffer, and we all suffered across the country, here in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, shame on them. So former President Trump owns golf courses, as you know, in Bedminster, Colts Neck, and Pine Hill, New Jersey, each of which has, of course, an active liquor license. And then they write, Trump owns, he no longer owns any casinos in AC, where his former company, Trump Entertainment Resorts, once operated there. I will add to you that when the Taj closed, they had a sale. And so in my foyer, I have this Trump table. It's like my pride and joy. It's round, it's a granite topped. And I don't know, remember that? They had the fire sale, so-called. And so I love that thing. I don't know if you were lucky enough to buy anything, but they had great stuff, and it was for, $50, $100, and beautiful furniture, beautiful stuff. But that's the latest. That's the weaponization of the government. And this is, there's no doubt in my mind, this is Governor Phil Murphy. Shame on you. Shame on you for doing this. It's cheap and it's dirty, and all of this is bad karma and negative energy, and it will come back to you. Because, mark my words, there will come a day where they do study this, and they do have pushes for transparency. I want to see all the emails back and forth. I want to see who said what, and who called, by the way, who called to make sure that they investigate Trump and ways to investigate him, right? This is what we're seeing in real time, and it's historic, and we don't want it. We don't want Republicans to do it. We don't want Democrats to do it. I don't want anybody to do this. And that's why I say with Hunter Biden right now, no, I don't want him persecuted over not checking a box or checking a box 6 years ago when he was allegedly, and what the evidence they're using is from his book. Well, since when does somebody tell the truth in their book? They're promoting their book, and they're writing a book. That doesn't mean, they're not under oath, by the way. So they're entering and say, well, he said in his book. Okay, they're not under oath when they say that in the book. Are they lying in the book? Maybe. They're trying to sell a book. Signed a book deal. Got a lot of money. I'm done. I'm done with all of this. And if anything, I think we review what the feds do with these stupid restrictions that don't stop anything. They don't in these forms. It's just a federal form, and then they have to hire more people to go through the federal form. That's dopey, if you want to ask me about it. 855-839-1210. That's where, and Hunter Biden, I don't think, has he ever been convicted of something? Did anybody anywhere say that with a firearm, thank God? He never threatened anybody. There was no self-harm issue. Thank God. And so, if anything, it makes him a more sympathetic individual. By the way, look back. My husband Larry reminded me. Remember Wesley Snipes, the actor, who actually is a wonderful actor. But remember, he went to jail. He was somebody who was accused of different addiction issues, but he went to jail because of IRS issues. So I wonder how he feels about all of this as well. 855-839-1210. We're going to take a quick break. We have so much more to talk about. Be right back.
It's officially summer, and the Zioli Army is headed to Cape May. Let's storm the beaches Boys of Cape May at the Grand Hotel. Join me for our live show Friday, June 21st. Can't wait to see you there at my happy place, the Grand Hotel of Cape May, New Jersey. And we're going to have a very special surprise guest hanging out with us as well. So make it a priority. Put it on your calendar today. Friday, June 21st, 3 to 7 p.m. live at the Grand Hotel of Cape May, New Jersey, grandhotelcapemay.com.
Are you the decision maker in your company? Consider this. For the first time in decades, there's a better option for a corporate card and spend management platform. Meet Ramp, the only corporate card and spend management system designed to help you spend less money so you can make more. Most corporate credit cards offer points as incentives, but those points amount to less than their worth in real cash value. Ramp's business cards offer you cash back, real money in your pocket. Plus, you control who spends what with each vendor. And Ramp software collects and verifies receipts automatically, which means you'll stop wasteful spending and close your books in hours instead of days. Businesses that use Ramp add up to 5% to their bottom line the first year. If you're a decision maker, adding Ramp could be one of the best decisions you've ever made. And now get $250 when you join Ramp for free. Just go to ramp.com/250. Ramp.com/250. ramp.com/250.
Cards issued by Sutton Bank and Celtic Bank, members FDIC. Terms and conditions apply.
There's nothing quite like local. Local is your weekly farmers market or homemade strawberry ice cream. It's live music on the corner, yoga in the park, and a chance to try something new. That's why AARP is local, right here in our community, offering free events and enriching experiences that can help with finances, family, and fun. Join AARP Philadelphia on June 25th for a free virtual floral arrangement session with Longwood Gardens. Learn more at aarp.org/local.
Introducing the Honickman Center at Jefferson Health. Outpatient care designed by patients like you. Together, we're shaping the future of medicine, where advanced technology and comprehensive services ensure convenience and accessibility for all patients. Everything you need to simplify the complexity of care is available in one location. Uncompromising care, delivered by world-class physicians. To schedule an appointment, call 1-800-JEFF-NOW.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6986. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6986. That's 800-575-6986. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Hey, Warminster. We know your favorite station is WPHT.
Tell your smart speaker to play 1210 WPHT.
Breaking news right now. Reportedly, the jury has come to a verdict decision in the case. This is historic. Never before has our nation seen the son of a sitting U.S. president on trial like this, federal felony trial, because of allegations in which he did not check a box, in which he was trying to buy a handgun at a gun store. And so this is a very speedy trial, if you will, in the sense of about a week. We're told that the verdict has been reached. And so at this point, for Hunter Biden, he and his family, you're usually ordered to stay very close. Right? You stay close by, then they have to bring everybody in. They have their procedure. And so reportedly now we have a report that, in fact, the jury has reached a verdict in the Hunter Biden federal gun trial. And we've just, received the information. So they're expected to read this verdict in court very soon. So what has to happen here is that the 12-member jury, they've been tasked with deciding whether the president's son is guilty of 3 different charges related to his purchase of that handgun back in 2018 federal prosecutors, say that Hunter Biden violated federal law because, at the time, they say he was addicted to crack cocaine at the time. He has pleaded not guilty. Remember that there was a plea deal in the works, and then at some point the judge in the case had decided there were a whole bunch of shenanigans and that the plea deal was overreaching and far-reaching, and said, no, we're not going to do this. The plea deal fell apart, if you will. They went to trial. If convicted of all 3 felony counts, the max that he could face, this would be very rare, but the max, I have to say this, would be up to 25 years in prison, as well as a fine of up to $750,000. Though he likely would receive far less than the max as a first-time offender, this would be rare that he would be sentenced to jail, in particular because, like I say, first-time offender and nothing violent, no history of violence, nothing like that, and has reportedly been clean as a former addict for about 5 years. So we have that going on. The defense, his defense team, Abby Lau, incredible defense attorney, arguing that there is no direct evidence that Hunter Biden was actually using drugs, was high when he purchased that gun. Federal prosecutors have said the addiction at the time was well documented and that he knew he was an addict. And when they point to the documentation, they're pointing to his book at the time and recordings of the book, and then as well the texts back and forth in which he was, and the one line was he was looking for Mookie. I think the name was Mookie the drug dealer, which is the best drug dealer name ever. Where's Mookie? I think I had a dog named Mookie. I don't know. Mookie. Where's Mookie, the drug dealer? So, I'm sorry. If found guilty, he would be clearly the first son, the first child of a sitting president who would ever be convicted in federal court. Cameras are not allowed inside federal courtrooms, as you well know. And so we're hearing guilty, convicted on all 3 charges. Can we, you know what, I'm just going to do it. I hate doing this, but let's take Turley just for a moment.
Excuse me, we're seeing the First Lady, Jill Biden, walk into the courthouse. So it's taken a little bit longer for all of the family members to reassemble. We saw Hunter Biden go a few minutes ago.
So family members just were running into the courthouse.
Once the verdict had been reached, at least he would return, and maybe even all of that family. Previously, we saw Joe Biden's brother James go in too. So they are reassembling ahead of the reading of this verdict. Jonathan, finish your thought.
Jonathan Turley.
Well, that was an interesting moment to have the First Lady come in, because I'm sure the prosecutors were not happy with having this array of Biden family members, very famous figures, behind Hunter. It reminded this jury that this is Biden town. This is Wilmington. This is where the Bidens reside. And it says a lot about the jurors that they overcame that. There was obvious sympathy for the defendant. I had sympathy for the defendant. When you hear his account of his struggle with drugs, you can't be anything but empathetic. But there was also an unavoidable series of criminal acts in all of this. And by saying things like he might not have checked the box, or he had a moment of sobriety, or maybe he was just using alcohol, really, I think, might have insulted some of the jurors. The way that Lowell made it sound is that the question meant, are you doing drugs while you're purchasing this weapon?
This is one of those rare cases. So the breaking news right now, and I'll just go out of this, is that Hunter Biden, son of President Joe Biden, obviously, we have no reaction from the White House or the president, but for the first time in American history, in United States history, the son of a president convicted, and Biden convicted on all 3 of, and I'm saying the word convicted, the federal jury has found him guilty. That's really the proper way to word this if I'm going to invoke my journalism professorism, right? Because I have been an adjunct professor. But a federal jury has reportedly found Hunter Biden guilty on all 3 of these federal gun charges. And so they're awaiting, as we get the official reading, we don't have the reaction, But we know that within the past less than 7 minutes, Hunter Biden arrived back at the courthouse there in Wilmington, Delaware, and the verdict in his federal gun trial expected to be read very soon. Uncle Jim, as well as Valerie Biden, arriving as well. And you heard it on the air as Turley was giving his legal scholarly, his take on this. They said, First Lady Jill Biden, we've never seen this kind of thing. And so we'll continue on with this. It does not mean, as far as sentencing goes, it would be unusual that they take him right now. Now, could they say you have to serve some jail time and we're taking you right now? They could. They actually could. I hope they don't. That's maybe you disagree with me. So that's the latest. Found guilty on all of these cases, and this is a case where they should have really done a plea deal. But those plea deal talks, as we've talked about this ad nauseum. To me, I personally believe that this exposes a real flaw in the entire system of when somebody buys a handgun. These forms are ridiculous, and they do nothing to prevent an addict or somebody with self-harm issues. I just think that it's ridiculous. That's my personal feeling on it. 855-839-1210. I have so much more ahead. We also have a guest coming up, and we'll bring all of this to you. And it's certainly, if there's any White House reaction, major breaking news: Hunter Biden found guilty of these 3 federal gun charges by a federal jury in court as we await the official reading of this. No cameras in the courtroom, but we do have reporters in the courtroom. This is the Dawn Show with this breaking news story. We will take a quick break. Be right back.
Weather sponsored by Express Employment Professionals.
A cool and pleasant air mass remains in place across the Delaware Valley today. It'll be partly sunny with a high temperature below average at 76. Tonight, partly cloudy, low 62 for the city, cooler in the suburbs, and a warmer day on Wednesday, mixture of sun and clouds with a high 82.
If you're ready for a new job, let Express Employment Professionals help you. Express is your one connection for a summer job in a variety of industries. Job seekers never pay a fee at Express. Go to expresspros.com to find your location. That's expresspros.com.
Hi, Stephanie from Emmons. Are you not loving your bathroom? Is the King's Throne looking a little outdated and run down? Let Emmons Design Specialists design a bathroom that you will love and one that Emmons will redo in as little as 1 day. An affordable, maintenance-free bathroom with little to no inconvenience to you and your family. With finance options available, there's really only one problem. Your bathroom will be so nice, your king may never want to come out. Call Emmons today at 856-885-6677 or visit us on our website at callemmons.com.
Patrick was way behind on his IRS taxes.
I was in way over my head and just over $30,000. That's when I reached out to Optima Tax Relief.
And how'd it go?
I couldn't believe it. I had to ask like 2 or 3 times. I saved an incredible amount of money.
How does Patrick feel about Optima?
Couldn't be happier. Optima Tax Relief. They're the best in the business.
Call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840.
Optima Tax Relief.
For details, visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Hi, I'm Rachel, and I have a serious heart condition called hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, or HCM. Some symptoms include being short of breath, feeling tired, or having dizziness or chest pain. I still had symptoms on my beta blocker, so I asked my cardiologist about any treatment advances. It was a breakthrough for me. That's why I'm working with Bristol Myers Squibb to raise awareness about HCM and to help others like me. Talk to your cardiologist today and visit hcmrealtalk.com for more information.
Sponsored by Bristol Myers Squibb.
Summer is upon us. No time like the present to get back out on the roads. My friends at Piazza Premium Automobiles are always going to help you find that luxury vehicle you've been wanting, you've been eyeing it. Piazza has thousands of new and certified pre-owned vehicles from some of the most beautiful, sleek, powerful brands on the roadways right now. I'm talking Mercedes-Benz, Land Rover, Jaguar, Maserati, BMW, Porsche, Alfa Romeo, and more. Just visit them, PiazzaPremiumAutomobiles.com, Piazza, PiazzaPremiumAutomobiles.com. You can stop by one of their many dealers across Pennsylvania, Delaware, or New Jersey. PiazzaPremiumAutomobiles.com. Tell them Dawn sent you.
I'm Philomena, founder of Kin Apparel here in Philly.
I love my natural hair, but not what hoodies and hats were doing to it. So I made my own satin-lined hoodies and created a business in the process. I've got big dreams, and Chase for Business in Philly was like, all right, how do we get you there?
Get financial guidance from bankers in your community and convenient digital tools all in one place. Learn more at chaseforbusiness.com. Make more of what's yours. Real customers compensated. JP Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
Hey, this is Mike Quick. If you're in the restaurant, hospitality, or casino business and your point of sale system isn't helping you sell more, earn more, or work less, you need to talk to my friends at PDQ Signature Systems. PDQ has everything you need for success. PDQ POS is the fastest, easiest, and most reliable POS system available. Whether you have a single location restaurant or thousands of locations, Joe Flynn and his team will create a custom game plan that will help your business succeed. Visit pdqpos.com.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-403-5569 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-403-5569. That's 800-403-5569. What do you have to lose? Call 800-403-5569. Again, 800-403-5569.
Don't let them silence you. Follow 1210 WPHT on the free Odyssey app. Download it now.
Wildwood, New Jersey, down the Jersey Shore, police asking for your help in finding some individuals who caused violence, were beating up on kids, and they released these surveillance images of these suspects, young suspects. In this latest report, I want you to listen to it, Local 6 ABC report, and just a part of it. You hear a father speaking out about jumping in and coming to the aid of his son who was innocent, doing nothing, being attacked. Listen in.
Take a close look at these surveillance images released by North Wildwood Police. They're hoping to identify these two suspects in connection with an aggravated assault on the boardwalk Saturday evening.
Like any father, all I did was just wanted to protect my son. But when that guy kicked him in the face, that was it.
Kenneth Golumbewski says it was the last night of his family's trip to North Wildwood when his 22-year-old son was assaulted on the boardwalk.
The kid was all in his face, and I just ran over there, and I pushed this kid out of the way. And next thing you know, I'm being pushed and shoved around.
Police say the assault happened at 26th Avenue on the boardwalk, but haven't released details about the circumstances. Golumbewski says his son and his son's girlfriend were in a nearby arcade when a group approached. He says a comment was made to his girlfriend and a verbal altercation turned physical. His son ended up on the ground.
And he kicks Lucas dead in the face. I'm like, oh my God. So I went to try to chase this kid. I thought, no, let me stay here with Lucas. And these bystanders were chasing him.
One of the workers at the arcade heard the scuffle and came outside.
He was on the concrete for a while. They picked him up and he fell back down like 2-3 times, and they finally got him over to the bench and laid him down.
His family says he was taken to the hospital and suffered a concussion. Several shore towns dealt with unruly crowds of teenagers over Memorial Day weekend. Folks who saw the aftermath of this incident say they were surprised to see something like that happen when it was still light, around 7:30 p.m.
That's the hour, like I said, is families that are up on the boardwalk, and for something like that to happen that early, it really surprised us.
So this is a father in a case where I can relate to it, mom of teenage boys. If we're on the boardwalk and somebody, comes in and starts beating on them, especially knocks them to the ground, etc., I think we could all agree that this is a case where a parent of somebody who's Gen Z, you would want to step in. You couldn't help yourself. But there is a new study suggesting some Gen Zers are actually bringing their parents along to things like job interviews. What? So I think I was trying to give a case where updating you on a story that's an active investigation, And in a case where I think a dad is doing something that's understandable and appropriate. But the latest news about Gen Zers is that sometimes parents, well, they're going a little overboard. Let's bring in our friend Julie Bauke, who knows all about this. Hey, Julie.
You think?
Yeah. This is unbelievable, and I can't imagine what employers would, their reactions.
So there's been a couple of studies lately about this, and where they surveyed employers, then they surveyed job applicants, specifically Gen Z, and 26% said of the applicants said that they have brought a parent to an interview. And before we gnash our teeth about Gen Z, my bigger question, and you alluded to it, is what the heck are these parents thinking?
Mm-hmm.
It's either their idea to go or their kid asks them and they agree. And so the first thing you're doing is you're virtually guaranteeing your child's not going to get the job. You might as well not even show up, because, very, very few, if any, employers are going to look at that as a plus, because they look down the road and they say, okay, let's say that Junior is highly skilled and qualified at something we desperately need. Apparently, if we are going to have to deal with this parent as well. So let's say Junior gets some feedback on something that he or she didn't do as well as they needed to, or am I going to have to be fielding phone calls from his or her parents? And for someone who brings their parent along to an interview, or the parent insists on coming, the answer is a resounding yes. Yes, you're going to be dealing with more than just your employee. And this is where employers look at it and say, this is bad judgment on a lot of fronts.
Now, what about the case where the parent insists on going? See, I wonder if it's who's at fault here, or is the parent insisting they go with, or is it the Gen Zer who at the oldest would be 22? So these are, let's say if they're an adult, they're 18 to 22. Is it more that the 18 to 22-year-old is saying, Mom, Dad, you got to go with me, I don't know what to say? Or is this the parent, you know what I mean, insisting and saying, no, let me just go with you?
Yeah, I think there's probably a hefty dose of both. But in the case where the parent says, well, I want to come with you because I want to know more about this job, because the survey also said that a hefty amount of these were parents who also wanted to speak to the hiring manager. Like they're like an agent or something. And so, so if you're the parent and you have this instinct that says, I'm afraid that Junior is not going to tell his story well or represent him well, that may be true. So what you can do is coach him on how to do that. You can practice at home or at a coffee shop, not in the actual interview. And if Junior doesn't want you to do that, then Junior has to learn Junior's own lessons the hard way, which is how the rest of us had to learn them. But you show up, and this is like, we've talked about helicopter parenting. This is next level. This is bulldozer parenting, where, I'm going to show up and talk about how great my kid is. And in some cases, these parents are answering the questions. When people hear this, rational people hear this, they say, this can't be true. Oh, yeah, it's true. I have plenty of stories in which it is true, and the kid never got the job. And so why, as a parent, are you not allowing your child to learn things on their own? Why do you feel like you have to clear the path for them? Because our best learning as humans, frankly, is when things don't go well.
Yes, that's true. That is true. If you think, and I'm looking at the survey, 26% of these ages 18 to 22, Gen Zers, 26% say they brought a parent to an interview. Oh my goodness, 37% say they had them come into the office. It's one thing if they drive you there or come with you for moral support and they sit out in the car, but they actually went into the office. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Isn't that insane? I mean, I don't, there are very few times, we've talked enough that that a lot of times I say, well, it depends. There's a lot of stuff in work and life that's very gray.
Yes.
This is one of those that is blacker than black and whiter than white. You do not do this. Period. End of story. No exceptions.
I mean, now we continue the conversation. Julie Bauke, President and Chief Career Strategist, the Bauke Group, and you've founded this company. You give this kind of advice all the time. Have you had situations where you have the conversation and try to talk somebody out of doing something like this?
So one of the things that happens is sometimes we'll get contacted on our website, on our Let's Talk form, from a parent or a spouse. And they will fill out a form that says, I'd like to talk to you about coaching. And anytime we get it from a parent or a spouse, my first response is, why are you reaching out and not your spouse or your child? And so we set the tone right up front that this is between us and our client, and we're not telling you as a parent anything about the conversations. I don't even care if you're paying the bill, because we want to establish right up front that your career is yours to run, and you can take what we teach you and run with it, or not, and sit home and complain. So, I mean, we've had to stop people from doing silly stuff, but generally the type of people we take as one-on-one clients are people who would never do that. And if they even think about it, we put them in their place. Like, no, do this, but you're not going to get the job. And so, we are just launching next month a program called Career Launchpad for Gen Z to teach them how to do all this stuff right. And because nobody's teaching them. And even if their parents taught them, anything that comes out of your parent's mouth is automatically wrong. And so, we're saying, we're going to teach you how to do this right. It's on our website under Career Happiness Coaching. But we see a real gap in the market with, some colleges do a great job. They put out a lot of great content. They do workshops. They do seminars. They give young people a million chances to learn this stuff. But the problem is, if you talk to a career center on a campus, they will tell you it's really hard getting these kids to show up because they're in the I know everything stage.
Yes. Now, how does the Career Launchpad? Is that something that people so they can go to your site, but so they can sign up for it?
Yeah, it's thebaukegroup.com. It's under Career Happiness Coaching. We're doing these small groups of specifically,
and they can Zoom, so it's all online.
Yeah, we're doing.
Okay.
Yeah, we're doing. It's all online. We're teaching you how to do this, and everybody who's signed up so far, it's their parents who paid for it because their parents recognize that they're not listening to me. But we will say, don't sign your kid up unless don't drag them to the water and hope they'll drink. They have to want this. They have to want this help because that's not good for anybody. I don't want anybody wasting their money. But it's 3 sessions, 90 minutes each. And we're going to teach you all the stuff you need to know to start your career on the right foot.
Now, it explains why at the high school level, my sons, especially coaches, and the football coach in particular, they started this where they want, if there's some reason that, one of the teammates has to leave practice early or any kind of communication, I would email, especially freshman year, right? Email the coach. And then one of my sons would say, Mom, why would you email the coach? I got in trouble. Coach says I have to communicate. But I guess this is why, because this is a thing, where the parents feel like, they have to take control, and the coaches are, at least the boys I can vouch for. I don't know what the girl coaches are doing, but I can vouch for the coaches in my region. They're trying to deal with this issue at a teen high school level.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. There was this thing called, because we have to have a name for everything, telephonophobia, which is young people especially are afraid to talk on the phone.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's all under that umbrella of general people skills that you need to be successful in life. And you can, I can promise you, I mean, this is relationships, and the ability to communicate with people is the lifeblood of your career. And you can learn how to do it now and get out there and practice when you're young, when people are frankly really willing to help you. and a lot more understanding than they are when you're 35 and you're trying to figure stuff out. And so I know, and parents listening right now are like, yes, I try to tell my kids this, but it doesn't matter what you say because they're going to roll your eyes at you. And I've got 2 boys. One of them doesn't make a move in his career without talking to me about it, and not because I'm his mom, because I'm a career coach.
Yes.
And the other one still doesn't think I know what I'm talking about. So, right? So it's just that thing about being a parent. Somebody else has to say the same thing.
Yeah. So you feel our pain.
To do it in a comfortable way. Yeah, absolutely.
Julie
Bauke. Just
Bauke.
keep my mouth shut and smile.
And it's Bauke, Julie Bauke.
Correct.
Take Back Control.
TheBaukegroup.com.
Yes, and Career Launchpad. We'll look for that. Until next time, my friend, thank you so much. Really appreciate you.
Take care.
Great advice for sure. 855-839-1210. And we're covering all the latest developments. Take your calls at Dawn Stensland on Twitter, on X, on social media. Be right back.
Dom Giordano.
Congressman Wesley Hunt here on the Dom Show. A military guy with that kind of background, why get into Congress?
Oh, because, when you're an Apache pilot and you've flown 55 combat air missions in Baghdad, and when you've been shot at by a Russian-made 50 caliber fully automatic Dishka, being in Congress is actually quite easy.
I did see you once in one of those back and forths in Congress. I thought helicopters would be used pretty soon.
It's Dom time. Dom Giordano. Weekdays noon till 3 on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT and the free Odyssey app.
Get slimmer for this summer without any shots. NJ Diet is nearly twice as fast as weight loss injections and without any of those nasty side effects. You will lose 20 to 40 plus pounds in only 40 days, contractually guaranteed. NJ Diet uses your hair and saliva along with scans to personalize natural solutions and supplements to get you to shed that fat quickly. Then, NJ Diet uses your DNA info to help you keep the weight off. You are fully monitored the entire time, and you even get the doctor's personal email and phone number. Locations close by in Cherry Hill, King of Prussia, Princeton, and Newark, Delaware, or NJ Diet is available from home with live online video consultations. Lose the weight the natural way, quickly and safely. Call 855-5NJ-DIET or schedule your consult today at njdiet.com. Get slimmer for the summer and without any shots. That's njdiet.com to lose 20 to 40 plus pounds in only 40 days. Go to njdiet.com and lose the weight for good.
The Angie's List you know and trust is now Angie, and we're so much more than just a list. We still connect you with top local pros and show you ratings and reviews, but now we also let you compare upfront prices on hundreds of projects and book a service instantly. We can even handle the rest of your project from start to finish. So remember, Angie's List is now Angie, and we're here to get your job done right. Get started at Angie.com. That's ANGI, or download the app today.
As a roofer, spring means the start of my busy season, which means I've got to get organized. With help from Beacon, I can save time with Beacon Pro Plus and 24/7 access to live pricing, delivery tracking, order history, and more. Plus, this spring, I can earn $1,000 and the chance to win a $25,000 backyard renovation just by buying my CertainTeed shingles online with Beacon. No purchase necessary. Now that's what I call a spring cleanup. Visit BECN.com for official rules and to start earning entries.
My dad loves Philly sports, and I need a Father's Day gift.
Tickets to see Joe Conklin are the perfect Father's Day gift.
Oh, my goodness. It was absolutely wonderful. All the voices and the singing.
And just seeing my dad, seeing the look on my dad's face.
Just the mix of the comedy and the singing. You never knew which way they were going to go with it.
See Joe Conklin with the City Rhythm Orchestra at Wildwood Catholic Academy in North Wildwood, Saturday, June 29. And at the Ocean City Music Pier in Ocean City, New Jersey on Saturday, July 13th. For tickets, go to joeconklin.com. JoeConklin.com!
Hey, it's Rich Zioli. Let me tell you about my buddy, Dr. Mike Veneria. Great guy. Whether you're looking for pediatric, general, cosmetic, or implant dentistry, look no further. Dr. Veneria and his award-winning team, they have your whole family covered, just like mine. Dr. Veneria's office exceeds CDC guidelines and has always maintained the strictest infection control with centralized UV sterilization of airflow to ensure your safety. Locations right over the bridge in Cinnaminson and Woodbury, 856-786-2020 or veneriadental.com.
A tasty new game is coming your way. Test your skills in Kirby's Quick Run at Tastycake.com. Help Kirby the Crimpet collect all of the Tasty Cake treats. Play now to enter our sweepstakes for a chance to win exclusive prizes. Increase your chances of winning by playing every day. And don't forget to celebrate National Crimpet Day on July 7th by snagging some limited edition confetti crimpets in stores now. Tasty cake, accept no substitutes.
Tune in to Crash Proof Retirement Show, Saturdays at 11 a.m. to hear Phil Canella and Joanne Small. The Crash Proof Retirement Show, Saturday mornings at 11 on Talk Radio 1210.
This is Dr. Marianne Ritchie. Tune in to Your Radio Doctor every Saturday afternoon at 5 here on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT for the latest healthcare news and information, because your health is your wealth. That's Your Radio Doctor, Saturdays at 5.
Want money back for your home improvement projects this summer? Call CNC Heating and Air Conditioning, your local Lennox dealers. Family owned and operated, serving Montgomery and Bucks counties for over 50 years. With 24/7 service and trained technicians, CNC will make sure your system is running efficiently all summer long. Refer a friend, and if they purchase a new full HVAC system, you both receive money back as a thank you for supporting our family-owned business. Schedule an estimate today at cc-hvac.com/referral. Calling on Blackwood to follow 1210 WPHT on the free Odyssey app. Download it now.
For the first time in U.S. history, a sitting president's child, found guilty on 3 felonies in this federal gun trial. Hunter Biden. Hunter has left the courtroom. Pundits talking. Will he appeal? Oftentimes, it's their right to appeal. He faces up to 25 years in prison at sentencing, so they have to set the sentencing date. So we'll get all of the information, going with this. One of the headlines on CNN is that the Trump campaign has responded to the Hunter Biden conviction, and we've not heard whether or not the White House has teed up any news conference or reaction. So as of this moment, no reaction from the First Lady who was inside the court, President of the United States, Joe Biden, or the White House. But the Trump campaign apparently issuing this statement saying in the initial statement, the Trump campaign wrote, "This trial has been nothing more than a distraction from the real crimes of the Biden crime family, which has raked in tens of millions of dollars from China, Russia, and Ukraine." I'm quoting here. This is a statement from the Trump campaign saying, quote, "Crooked Joe Biden's reign over the Biden family criminal empire is all coming to an end November 5th, and never again will a Biden sell government access for personal profit. As for Hunter, we wish him well in his recovery and his legal affairs." So the Trump campaign just releasing this statement just minutes ago saying this is a distraction from the real crimes of the Biden crime family and alleging that crooked Joe Biden and his reign over the Biden family criminal empire comes to an end with your vote November 5th, alleging that the Biden crime family has raked in tens of millions of dollars from China, Russia, and Ukraine. That statement from the Trump campaign. Oh, and CNN quickly, fact check, there's no evidence that Joe Biden... I mean, clearly, do you really have to put that there? Clearly, people can read it for themselves. And put a fact checker there, put a fact check. And yet they won't fact check the other side. There's always bias by omission. Clearly, this is a campaign statement. Let me just say this. As long as you, like I did, so I verbally in an audio way had to say this is a campaign statement, I don't need to say, well, now, let me do a fact check, and there's no evidence, there's no tangible evidence, but of course there's not. This is a campaign. It's a campaign statement, and you're smart enough to think for yourself. But see, they don't think that any of us, that we're smart enough. That's why they have to think for us. That's why they have to be our voice. We're your voice. You know, anytime somebody says they want to be your voice, run, right? So Hunter Biden, we're told, is expected to issue a written statement after the jury found him guilty, federal jury. And so we're awaiting that. And he was seen leaving the Delaware courtroom with his stepmom, Jill Biden, as well as his wife, following the verdict. You saw him kind of look up. I think he reached over, he shook hands with somebody, thanked somebody who must have wished him well or something. He did not speak to any reporters and was seen, you had this huge entourage as he was seen getting into the vehicle. And again, we have not heard from Joe Biden. Nothing from the, yes?
In regards to Joe, it looks like he's actually going to be speaking at 1:30 at a gun safety event.
Okay.
So go figure.
And so I also think, here's the thing, there are a lot of Americans who, and Democrats and Republicans, many Democrats, especially amid the pandemic with all of the crime, the hike in crime and all of that, and defund the police, we've seen a lot of Americans who say, you know what, I'm scared for my safety. I want to buy a firearm. I think this whole case hurts Joe Biden as well. I mean, in the fact that he's going to a gun safety, a gun safety, speech or event, when maybe they should look at why more and more Americans are buying firearms for home protection, self-protection. And so I think, once again, that's a bad look for Biden as he has to think about that. And I'm just going to point out to you, this happened 6 years ago. This at issue here. So the 3 counts that Hunter Biden was found guilty on, 2 of which are lying on a federal form. And then the third is actually buying a firearm illegally because they believe you were addicted or on drugs at the time. This is extremely rare. I cannot emphasize this enough. Extremely rare that this would ever go to a federal trial and a jury like this before a judge. I cannot recall a time when a case like this involving zero violence would ever make its way into a court. A very rare situation. To me, I think it exposes a real problem and a flaw in our system. And think about this. What if somebody's on marijuana, which now we have all these state laws that are contradictory to the federal laws. And so we have all these contradictions. But apparently Hunter Biden has been huddled with lawyers in court. And that was before the guilty verdict, before the jury came back and they physically read those verdicts. Let's get right over to Dom Giordano. And this is another reason, Dom, it's so great that we're live and we're local as the president reacts, as the White House, and we can carry all of this in real time.
Exactly, Dawn. So we'll cover the verdict, but also Josh Shapiro really is a guy front and center here. He's running already in 2028. But broader than that, what he said yesterday on cable about Trump running down the country is a tactic they're using. They run down the country, the entire party, at least traditional America, then say, why are you complaining about all the nonsense going on in America? This guy has got to be challenged head on. I don't know who the challenger is, but I'd love to see it.
Well, we love the Dom Show coming up.
We all hear the radio.